Well, hello guys, and welcome to another episode of Kerbal Space Program. As you can see, I am launching a Munar lander, actually on a rescue mission to save the team that we left there last time. I did do a practice round with a very similar prototype of this, and the pilot of that mission is actually lost on the moon as well. So we actually are trying to pick up the three pilots who were in our first ship as well as our initial rescue attempt. So a total of 4 Kerbals have to be saved. This design that I have is basically asparagus staged of the large Rocket 64 things. Just propel up a basic lander with actually 4 little of the Rover chairs basically that will help get the guys into orbit from the moon. I also have a little Rover here at the top, which I can dispatch out there to actually pick them up if we don't land directly where we're aiming for. And the idea is to meet an orbiter around the moon that they can get into. It has one of those hitchhiker storage cans that can hold 4 Kerbals. I have one of those in orbit around the moon already, so that's where we're going to try to plop them down. I'm just watching our orbit here, making sure that we don't go too high and waste too much fuel, because really I'm not trying to get it much above 70 and it's already up to 80, so I'm just going to bring this down to a little bit below the horizon here. And I'll let this get up to 90 or so, and then if it gets much above that, then I'm going to wait till the Ep.2 to continue building up the orbit. I skipped some of the launch for you guys just because I figured, the launches aren't always the most exciting thing ever. You can see the Kerbal Space Center down there, leaving that behind. Our pilot this time is Handan Kerbin. I picked him because he actually did have a very high courage rating. Notably, all of our other pilots had very low ratings, which is what we were going for last time, but that didn't seem to really work out that well. So I think we're going to go with someone a bit more courageous. And at this point, I am actually just going to fast forward to the Ep.2. Okay. And we're getting pretty close there. So we're about a minute out, but the distance we have to cover is pretty minimal. Our angle is very close to the horizon right now. So I'm just going to even that out. And I think we should be able to achieve orbit pretty quickly. Again, I apologize for the super busy orbit. We can see our orbit outlined, of course, in the blue line here. And now if we can just get to orbit, let's go ahead and do some time acceleration here. And at this point, yeah, it's fine. I'm gonna push that up because it's fine. 120, okay. Still not quite as nice and low of an orbit as would be ideal. I mean, because again, any energy I spend getting this orbit so high is energy that I'm not spending getting to the moon. That's okay. I think we can get into full orbit here, so let's get this up above 80. And there we go. Now our next little trek is to actually get to the moon itself. Okay, so I have set the moon as a target, but I am going to pause the recording just real quick, just to make sure things are recording alright. After all, I don't want to get the whole episode going and then turn out that it didn't record. So I'll be right back, guys. Thanks. Alright guys, I am back, and I have gone ahead and taken the liberty of kind of equalizing out our orbit and set up a maneuver node for us to go ahead and get a lunar capture. So I'm just going to take care of that right now. And the problem with the physical time acceleration is, although it makes things much it's good for people who aren't patient like me, but it does make things a little bit wobbly, as you can see, and it also makes things a little bit harder to control. So I'm going to slow it down when we get close to okay, so I think we may have overshot our goal here by a little bit, but that was mostly due to me being a little bit careless. And that's okay, because we can always rectify it just by targeting this little blue dot and telling it, hey, we're sorry, we didn't mean to go that far away. So let's see if we manage the capture. Oh, okay. So, right. Okay, so let's see. Something went wrong there. I think. No, 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 that's right. I mean, we're not quite exactly where we said we would be. Probably aimed a little bit off, but let's go ahead and close that out. So we will actually hit the moon. Let's see if we can't get a little bit closer, though. I'm just kind of doing this a little bit blindly. So, kind of adjusting our intercept here. Oh, something's going crazy. Okay. So that's not quite what I intended to do. Causing some havoc here. So I think we want to... Okay, so I slowed down a little bit just to kind of reorient myself here. That's the problem with kind of depending on these maneuver nodes, is they're helpful, but sometimes they can lull you into sort of a false sense of security, like, oh, if I just do this. Well, then again, I didn't really do it the way that I had even set the maneuver node up. So, okay, so that's going to get us a nice low periapsis there over the moon. So, and our ascending and descending node 0.8, it's, I mean, if we were trying to be super duper professional about this, I think we would try to adjust that because we're not going to hit quite on an equatorial trajectory here, but at the same time, you know, it should be fine, especially since the target that we're trying to land on isn't really quite at the midline of things, so we're going to, you know, have to adjust things as a result of that. I'm going to have to slow this down a little bit. Again, I don't want to fast forward through the encounter here. And I always love the kind of weird little shapes that your orbit makes because of the effects of these other planets' gravity. So we are trying to meet up with these guys, so I'm going to hit them and set them as our target. And I'm considering doing something kind of perhaps dumb. Yeah, this is dumb. But hear me out, though. It might not be an awful idea. I think it might be interesting to try landing without actually achieving orbit first. Now, I know that's not as energy efficient, but it'd be a nice little challenge here. So we would need to head... I'm trying to think. We're going a little bit too far north and a little bit not enough west. So if we aim sort of in this general direction, would that do anything to us? Okay, we also are spinning kind of out of control here. Unfortunately, the craft might not be completely leveled, so that might put a problem. Okay, this is actually better though. This will help us kind of orient where we're aiming. So that we don't want to head that way. We want to head this way. I always forget that I think east and west are kind of backwards or something on this. Okay, so we kind of want to be heading right about this way. So let's try this and see if that brings us oh, and spinning out of control. Keep spinning out of control. That's probably because I have this stupid time acceleration on. Okay, so I'll try to do this legitimately and not have the time acceleration, but I do think this would be a really cool challenge to actually try and land directly without achieving orbit. Again, not as energy efficient and really kind of backwards way of doing it, but could be interesting. You know, I'm just going to kill some of this energy momentum that we have and push our retrograde marker towards the marker that indicates the direction away from the target. So let's focus on the moon. So here's the center of the moon, and what we want is, if we line this up, this is where on the moon surface we actually are. We want to have our landing, which is this line. We want to move this line over to here. So let's go ahead. This is moving it laterally. Okay. Laterally and now south. Okay, so this is tricky. This is probably not how it should be done. Okay. But hey, we have a pretty close encounter there. And I like this because it really kind of shows you where exactly you're aiming. Okay. So let's push that slightly. And I think that's pretty much spot on. This is kind of similar to how I got the other lander down, although this whole just going straight on towards it is both kind of a really weird way of doing things and fairly ballsy, because it's not a it's very risky, I would say. So let's see if we can get a bit closer. We get down to about I'd say let's get down to about 80 kilometers. No, overshot just a little bit. So now where is our target? There's our target. And, so we are pretty significantly far away from our target, actually. Don't quite know how that happened. Well, let's see if we can fix this. Again, we have, so much fuel to spare. It's kind of ridiculous. Yeah, so let's go ahead and push our... are we going up now, or we're still going down? Okay. This is a little backwards, and I think this is essentially out. So let's go ahead and burn the last bit of that fuel there and drop that. And push it away just to be... That's kind of mean. Alright. Now again, what we want is... Really what we want is to have our retrograde marker to go sort of towards the towards these guys over here. And we don't want to lean over too much, though. This thing is a little top heavy, and it has been known to flail around if you get too far out of balance. So I'm going to take this nice and slow, very, very carefully. And again, see, we're getting some lateral movement here, so this should put us a little bit closer where we're trying to go. Okay, so... And you can see on the... oh boy, okay. So that's the tricky part, is we are now going up, because I wasn't paying close enough attention, so we have to wait till gravity kind of overcomes this. This will pull us back towards our target some, though. But we still want to push this again out towards our target. Okay, and how's that doing? Again, we don't want to land, halfway around the moon from these guys. We do have this rover, but right now they're pretty far away from us. And we could land if we had some mods like Mech Jeb or anything like that. But I really don't play using mods very often. Just personal preference, I guess. I kind of like Macy Dean's style. If you guys have seen any of his work, it's really impressive, actually, the things he actually manages to accomplish. Because he doesn't use barely any mods. Actually, no, none. He uses none. Not even barely any. He uses no mods whatsoever, which is really impressive. Because he makes pretty awesome videos with that. Okay, I think we're headed sort of in the right direction here. Let's see if we can get that a little bit further towards there. And there we go. Okay. Now we just kind of have to sit tight, and we are going to go up some. Okay. Okay. And there are again our poor guys out there, trapped on the unforgiving surface of the moon. They've been waiting there for quite a while. I'm gonna speed up just a little bit more. I don't want you to have to spend the whole episode watching me. Oh boy. And I'm gonna... This time, this is again going to make us not be quite as close to them. Oh boy. Okay. Hold up. I'm going to pause real quick. I'll be right back. Alright guys, sorry. I had to pause so I could quick save because we are kind of flying out of control. And I wanted to quick save, just in case. After all, I don't want to have a horrible crash down and not be able to get this thing landed, and I had to pause because I was like, okay, what's the which button is it for quick save? Which I know is probably a silly question to ask, but at the same time it was like trying to do some quick thinking just wasn't happening. But I think we'll be going to be okay. Okay, so let's tilt just slightly this way. Again, we're going kind of up now. Oh, okay. So because we're so low, we can't even warp actually. So we are going to have to go super slow. Huh. I would think that you'd be able to, at the very least, warp the physical warp, but I guess that's not going to happen. So I've gone ahead and lowered our stuff here. I'm trying to get as close to these guys as possible. So the plus side is we have a lot of excess fuel. Our goal is simply to not use any of our central fuel prior to landing. Because that's what we're going to need to get back into orbit and meet up with the orbiter. Let's see if we can't tilt a little bit more this way. And I'm going to start trying to kill some of this forward momentum, though. Okay, so we are coming down pretty gently towards the area that our poor surface team again is landed on. I think we can do it. I think we can get a nice close landing to them. We're still moving sort of towards them. Alright, let's see if we can't do a landing now. Okay. So I'm just going to let this kind of start falling back down. And we should start accelerating out here. Don't know what that little flash of blackness was, but we are getting down towards the crater itself. We're going to be coming in pretty darn close. Okay. And maybe just a little bit more towards this way. Okay. So, you know, we're pretty close to these things, given that we trying to land on the moon and meet up with them. We might even be close enough that we don't even need this stupid rover that's been making us top heavy. And we, on the plus side, really haven't used very much of the rover's fuel. So we're getting pretty close. I'm going to go ahead and try to slow us down. You can see our lights are starting to hit the ground. Okay, let's try to kill some of this momentum this way. Okay, and actually we're going to hit it a little bit more that way so we can get towards our target. The closer we land, the better, of course. Okay, of course, then again, we don't also want to land right on top of them. And sorry, this landing is taking a long time. I'm just trying to be as careful as possible to get as close as possible, and then also to not die. That would be unpleasant to come all this way only, again, to meet a horrible fate. And because we're trying to be super careful, I'm going to try to land, you know, and there's our shadow, at a very slow speed if I can. I mean, we're barely killing our speed. That should be enough to land right in the middle of all this stuff. Actually, well, there's our old rover, so I don't think I showed footage of this. Actually, I didn't record it, now that I think about it. But, I sent up a previous rover that did not meet a very good end. Okay. Oh. So let's try to crap. Okay, so that was beautiful landing and then crap. And that's because we're on this stupid hill here, trying not to fall over on this slope. So it's a good thing we have a little bit of RCS here, though. So this should... So we're not going to be quite as nice and close to our target because of that little mishap there, which was my fault for not being a little bit more careful. And okay, we've landed, and I think even though we've landed on quite a slope, we've actually, we're 200 meters from our target. We have a bit of fuel left, and we can launch our rover now. Oh boy. Let's switch over to that before it blows up. Okay, hit the brakes. Calm down. Easy there. And let's see if we can't get our... turn off that. And see if we can get flipped over. Okay, this is the hard part about this rover. I've had this same problem in the past, is getting it flipped over correctly. So I'm trying not to break any of it. And that's obviously much easier said than done. Okay, let's see what we can do here. Kind of have to really push it, and there we go. And we have the rover flipped over. So now that we have that, let's turn off that RCS. We can go ahead and open up our photovoltaic cells, just as some backup charge here. So I think this is a pretty cool little rover. You can kind of see it better now. It has some lights, has nuclear generators, of course, in case you're out of sun. Although we have a nice sun. Oh, that's pretty right there. That is, I like that.